Okay, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We're going to do a little bit of sight reading before we head to the breakout rooms. So, let me share my screen. I don't need that. Okay, you should all be looking at our first sight reading example. So we'll do this like usual. I'll give you a little bit of time to look at it, and then I'll call on somebody to play for us. Okay, so fourth or fifth hour, I forget who it was, they made it apparent to me yesterday that my method of picking the first person on the screen in the Brady Bunch windows is not a good method because I'll always be picking people with their screens on, which I think is a smart observation. So with that in mind, I'm going to pick the first person on my screen who does not have their screen on, which is Noah Clan. Noah, do you mind playing this one for us?
Can I grab my trumpet real quick and maybe play the next one?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Marcus,
Thank you.
If you're there, you're next after Noah on my screen. Marcus Phillips, I should say.
Oh, you said it. Okay.
Yeah, cool. There were a couple of errors that you had in there, Marcus. Do you know where they might be, or do you have an idea?
No.
So, the two biggest ones, there's actually three, but the triplet eighth notes, and this is a good mistake to make, is we see triplet eighth notes, and our first instinct is to play them quickly, which turns them into 16th notes, which is what happened with you, Marcus. So we have to find that middle ground between 2 eighth notes and 4 16th notes. That's something that we all struggle with, even professional musicians, is playing triplet eighth notes super evenly. So that's something we just have to practice, and I'll remember that for when we're back in person, hopefully. Okay, sorry, I was just checking the chat. Thank you, Ben. The other thing, in the last measure, you played that quarter note on beat 2 as a 16th, or not 16th, an 8th note. But otherwise, good job. You have a great sound, Marcus, so thank you. Let's do another one. I see some of you decided to turn your screens on because you were like, if I turn it on, then he won't call on me. So, you guys are smarter than the average bear, that's for sure. So, look at this one for a second.
The next person who gets called, so when you get called to do this, please count off before you play, because then everybody can play together and it's not just one person participating. Then all of you can participate, but we'll just hear one person because of they'll be the only one unmuted.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Herring. I forgot to mention that. Okay, Noah, if you're here, you can play this one if you don't mind. I actually don't see you.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep, good. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, nice work, nice work. Thank you, Noah. Uh, Same with you. There was two small errors. Do you know where they might have been? Any ideas? Noah?
Was it second measure of line 2?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh, yes and no. It was the tie going into the next measure. So
Okay.
measures 2 and 3 of line 2. You came off that tie just a little bit too soon, and you actually did the same thing. Now this is really picky. The same thing happened in measure 2. That half note that's tied to the previous bar was just you let go of it a little too early, but you had a rest after, so we didn't notice. But
Okay.
so just something to be aware of when we have ties like that. And I know we've talked about this in class. You really have to be aware of like situations where, am I sustaining through the tie or am I cutting off on the tie, right? So, good work though. Thank you, Noah. Let's do another one. So take a look at this one for a minute. Good morning, Mr. Crutcher, according to the people in the chat. Thank you for being here. In a normal day, I'd make them all say hello to you, but it would just be a cacophony of sound on here, so. Okay, Logan, if you're there, you can play this one for us. And like
Okay.
Mrs. Herring said, make sure you count everybody off so we can get through it together, please.
Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, thank you, Logan. Self-analysis for you. What do you have to say about how you just played?
Messed up in the sixth measure with the
Yeah, so sort of the same thing I mentioned with Noah, where we have to be really careful about how we tie over the bar lines. Other than that, the first two measures, it's the same thing. So I'm trying to think how to word this for you, Logan. When we have a tie over the bar line, which is sort of what we've been talking about or what I've mentioned so far today, we have to really make sure to count through it, right? The same thing applies to our dotted rhythms, our dotted quarters and our dotted half notes. And it's the same idea of you have a value that is slightly longer, whether it be from the tie or from the dot, and we have to do everything we can to count through that. And then in measure 2, just make sure that those 16th notes don't sound the same as your 8th notes. We have to have the rhythmic difference, right? So does that make sense, kind of, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to move on to the breakout rooms. Actually, I lied. We might do 2 more. I'm not sure. But 1 more for sure. Okay, Sean Selwa, if you're there, if you can count us off and play this one for the group. Okay, I see your chat. In that case, we'll move on to the next person, who is Evan Odell. Could you play this one for us?
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Thank you, Evan. I'll skip the personal evaluation. A couple things that I would mention for you. Um, I think you do a very nice job of reading the rhythms within the measure, but a couple of times in this, you're adding too much space between the measures, right? So uh, your rhythm reading is good, I think, but we have to be able to string like a collection of thoughts together, right? It's like if I was reading and I read each word individually, like you guys all know what that's like, right? In class, like the teacher's like, blah, 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 can you read for us? And they read every word and they don't make a sentence, right? So, the other thing, Evan, I'm looking at the second line, second measure, and I know this is, you and I specifically have talked about this before, but playing those eighth notes on the and repeatedly, you really have to have the subdivision in your head. It's like the ultimate test. And I know we've talked about that because like your entire part in Amparita Roca is like that, right? It's just like on ands the whole time. So, okay. Thank you, Evan. We're going to do one more and then we'll move on. Okay, I have to pick on at least one person with their camera on today, otherwise I'll feel bad. So Seth, if you could play this for us, that would be great.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Seth. I didn't really hear any issues with that. Did you have any issues with that, Seth? Let me ask you. Maybe you would know better than I do.
I don't think I made any mistakes.
No, it was good. It was quite good. So, okay, thank you. We're gonna move on from sight reading for today and head to the breakout rooms, and we'll be working on night dances, which we listened to earlier, right? So, and I'll be around at some point, hopefully, for most of you to just chat through things. So, all right, thank you guys.
Okay, I'm going to open out breakout groups, and Mr. Berardi, I'm putting you and Mr. Kretzer into the Lowe's room. And there's a couple of you I see got kicked out and came back in. I need to reassign you. And then I will open that up. All right, here you go. You've got about 15 minutes.
Okay, Lowe's. Again, happy Friday to you all. Hopefully you have night dances on your stand. I'm just gonna look. I'm trying to find the measures that I wanted us to work on. Okay, So what we'll do, because we have a little bit of a mixed bag in this group as far as parts in this piece, let's just look at, for now, measure 25 to measure 35. Do you guys have your measures numbered in this? I know you have boxes, but do you have measure numbers? No?
No.
Okay, so in that case,
We have the start of every line number.
okay, so then 5 and 25 if you can. For a lot of you, that's rests, but for the tuba, oh, you know what? Our bass clarinets are here. Okay, so for the tuba and bass clarinets, that's, you guys come in on a concert G sharp there, right? And you do have a pickup before that, but I'm not worried about that. So we're gonna look at 25 to 35. This is still part of the slower introduction to this piece, right? So I don't want to talk too much, actually. We'll just play through it, and then we'll talk about some things that may arise. Let me look up my metronome requirements for today. Does anybody want to volunteer to play this chunk? I should have asked that first. You guys know I like volunteers, but if not, I'll just call on somebody. Going once, going twice. Okay, Ethan Thompson, you're the first person on my screen. So you come in at, yeah, so we'll have you start at measure 30 if you don't mind, Ethan, just because that's where everybody comes in after you, actually. So 30, which is 2 before 32, and play through till you have rest. So it's only like 5 or 6 measures. Do you see what I'm talking about? So then if you can set your metronome to 60 for us. Sorry, I should have asked you.
Here, I'll
to do
get a
that.
metronome real quick.
Okay, great, yeah. And then I'm sure you all know this because we've been through the ringer by now, but just make sure you play along with Ethan. He'll count you off. So 30 to 35 is what we're going to play.
And what tempo did you say?
60, please. 60.
Okay.
And we're still in 4 here. We haven't gone into cut time yet, so it's quite slow.
Can you hear that? Okay. 1, 2, ready, go.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Ethan. Do you have any comments about that before I say anything?
I missed one of the start. I wasn't warmed up enough, I guess.
Yeah, good observations. You guys know I like for you guys to self-evaluate. That's like one of my big things, right? So, good. So this section is still slow. It's still mysterious or whatever, right? So a couple things I would mention, and these are really picky because you did well, Ethan. But when we have dotted half notes like that, we have to make sure that we keep the energy moving forward, right? And specifically at 30, we have crescendo marked, right? And we crescendo to forte at 32. So, excuse me. So just being aware of that. And then 33, we have diminuendo to mezzo forte. And I know Mrs. Herring is the same as me in the sense that I would much rather have like the actual graphic of a crescendo, right? It's really easy to just fly past that CRESC and not think about it, right? So, okay, good. And then we're actually going to do one more spot with you guys. I want to do something in the cut time with you once, at least. 57 to 71, I'm going to ask one of the brass players to play it. So, Seth, you're next, but you already played in sight reading, so, and then Joey. Noah, if you don't mind, could you play 57 to 71 for everyone with your metronome at, I wrote it down somewhere, at 108, please. Your metronome at 108. Uh-oh, he disappeared.
I'm here. I'm just set my metronome.
Oh, okay, great.
I have to do it on my phone because I'm doing the Zoom on my phone. So tell me if you can hear it.
Okay.
And it's in cut time.
Yeah, it's metronome marking 108. I can't hear your metronome, but you can play it for us. So.
It's not done yet. It's not on
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Now can you hear it?
I can. I'm not sure if anybody else can, but count us off at 57, and then we'll play with you.
1, 2, 1, 2. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, good. So all of you have this together. This is really like the first moment when we listen to the recording for this. This is where like all of you are about to fall asleep, and then all of a sudden you wake up, right? So even though these are whole notes and whole notes tied over the bar line, this is actually the melody, right? And I know you guys know that. So play it with the appropriate amount of gusto, which Noah, I think you did, but you could do more to accent, and your audio was cutting in and out a little bit, but the rhythms were good. You do a very good job of sustaining through the phrases, Noah, but we could work more on the front of our notes, if that makes sense. So, okay, cool. I think you guys get the gist of what we're looking for, so Mr. Crutcher and I are going to head to a different room. So if you guys want to continue to work on those two sections specifically, but anything else in here that you feel needs work, there's not too much substance for you guys in this, because you're all great musicians. So, but okay, have a good weekend, guys. If I don't see you, and thank you. We're ready. Thank you. Okay, trumpets. Good morning to you all. Happy Friday. Happy Friday the 13th, by the way. As if 2020 wasn't enough already, but that's okay. We're gonna power through, like we always do. So night dances. We're gonna look at 89, 89 to 101, which is, you guys have the melody throughout this piece in a couple places, but this is the first moment where it's really stated right away on the bar line with all of you together in unison. So we're just going to look at it, and if we can work through some things here now, it'll help you guys later, right? So 89 to 101, let me find the metronome marking that I wrote down, which would be 108, yeah. So it'll be at 108 on your metronome. I'm clicking the wrong screen. And that's in cut time, right? We've transitioned to cut time at this point in the piece. So, would anybody like to volunteer to play at 89? Going once, going twice. And immediately everybody stops looking at their screen. I see how it is. Okay. Nick, you're first on my screen. If you don't mind playing 89 to 101 for us with your metronome.
Yeah, 1 second. Just trying to get my metronome to work.
Okay, yep, you're good. Alright, that's okay.
Alright, I'm not really sure how to play that part with this.
No, you're okay. So, let's talk about it a little bit. So, how do you think, or how do you feel that you did? Like 1 to 10. 10 being like, I'm in the DSO, and 1 is like, I picked up the trumpet yesterday.
Probably like a 5.
Okay.
And
Why do you feel that way?
I didn't hear it like all that well.
What did you say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I couldn't really follow the tempo that well
Mhm.
because I only played this slower.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a couple things we can do for that. Thinking of it, like slowing down the tempo a little more and maybe playing it in 4, right? Which I know we've been doing that a lot within the Shining of the Stars, right? Which is a totally different type of piece, but practicing it quickly in 4 before we transition to the cut time. So, try it again, Nick, real quick, and keep your metronome at 108, but just play it in 4/4. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's gonna feel really slow, but that's okay because we're really working on accuracy, right? Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Nick. That's good. That's good. So, yeah, so right away, I think you felt more comfortable with the rhythms, right? Or it seemed like you did. So just working it that way and just speeding it up gradually, of course, which I know you know. A couple things, maybe more stylistically in this section to remember. This is really like a fanfare for you all, right? Just the trumpets have the melody here. Maybe we haven't really played this yet, so everybody else just has tied whole notes here. And this is just the trumpet section going strong with some timpani and some cymbals. But anyways, my point is, at 89, you guys should have marcato written in your part. And this is another thing where it's like, I wish they just put it over the notes instead of writing it at the bottom. But here, at least it makes sense that they don't want to put it over every single note, so it's a little more forgivable. But anyways, my point is you have a really good inclination to play musically, Nick, but sometimes, I'm trying to think, sometimes we're not singing when we're playing, right? Like, it's really easy, and we talk about all the time, it's like, play like you're singing, blah, 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 play musically. Like, this is a fanfare, right? It's not necessarily that same character, so don't be afraid to have some separation between the notes, or like a really clear articulation at the front. So, one technical thing, which you didn't have this issue, but I want to bring it up anyways. I'm looking at 89, 90, 91. So 92, which is 4 after 89. If you guys make a rhythmic error anywhere in here, I'm going to bet it's that quarter note on beat 2. Or on the and if you're in cut time. Dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da. Most often we're going to want to hold that too long because we've been holding half notes and dotted half notes in the measures before that, right? We're going to want to put those eighth notes on 4 because that's what we've been doing so far in the piece, but it's actually on 3 and 4 and, so just things to be aware of. So, okay, cool. Do you have any questions about anything trumpets, or is that pretty straightforward, I think? Okay, yeah, this is quite a straightforward piece. It's just that we got to put in the reps, right? So, okay, thank you guys. Have a good weekend if I don't talk to you again, and I'll see you soon. So I'm ready. Slash, it looks like Damien got booted. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't even notice. Okay. He had to go to another observation. I just checked my text, so.
All right, I have dropped your asynchronous assignment into Google Classroom. Hopefully we'll be back in person on Tuesday, so you'll be here. I will not be here Tuesday. I'm taking my daughter to an appointment, but Mr. Berardi will run the rehearsal, so you should be able to have band as usual that day. And then Thursday, when I see you, we will have just morning classes that day, but you will have hours 1, 2, 3 that day. They'll just be, I think, an hour long instead of 100 minutes long. So, all right, everybody, feel free to log out, go record your assignments. I'll stick around a few minutes in case anybody has questions.